is Santiago pollution in the Andean mountains, which is a project I'm working on with my collaborators here, Javier Muñoz, Francisco Fernandoy, and Francisco Barraza. So the goal of this project is to, and the research question is to investigate, okay, how much of the pollution produced in Santiago is affecting the mountains close to Santiago, especially the glaciers here. So we have a flow of pollution from Santiago, the city here, that goes usually to the northeast here, and there are a bunch of glaciers around there. So the question is how does the urban contamination affect these areas? And the plan is to measure contamination in the city with air filters, between the city and the mountain top here in the middle, in collecting tree samples and measure pollution in tree rings, and then in the glaciers with ice cores. So the first part is the air filters. So we identified a couple of sources, and these sources, the relative contribution moves through time. This has been published, this is done, this was very successful, and Francisco Barraza will show you in more details the result from this phase in this afternoon, I think. Then dendrochemistry, so this is the second section. We're pretty excited about that. So we went to all these sites in the city, and then following a altitudinal gradient, we went up to almost 3,000 meters, collecting tree rings and tree samples, and we measured metals in there. And we see that, there's a really good correlation between what we measure in the tree and what we measure in the station, in the filters, in the city here. So when we compare what we measure in the tree and in the air filters, there's a good correlation between the elements in the filters. So we're pretty confident that what we're going to measure here is representative of at least the relative changes in air contamination. This is, we'll have to show that, but yeah. This is a bit the problem child of the project, so the ice cores. So we got several ice cores from the top of the mountains, but and we measured contamination in these ice cores, so we have this, but we realized that at some sites about too low, the surface temperature, the surface snow is melting, and then this water percolates through the ice core, and then this mixes everything up and changes the concentrations. And also, we're not quite sure about the age model. Our latest theory now, because we don't see a seasonal signal, so our latest theory is that we see actually the El Niño La Niña cycle in the isotopes. So that's our problem. And so, conclusions. I'll let you read the conclusion by yourself. I will just mention the PhD of Sebastián Ruiz here, and who is actually going to study not only the runoff from the glaciers on top, but also including the frozen ground. So a holistic view of the glaciers, not only what we see, but also the water that is frozen inside under the surface.